with Election Day coming up, we're into really the home stretch of this campaign.
All of the parties are really now focusing on the places that they think they might be able to pick up or need to shore up, for that matter. And I think the only thing we can all agree on is that this is very close and it could be very tight. No party, even speaking on background, I think is ready to wave the flag and declare victory, because of just how close it is.
Right, but you're dealing with a government that's been in power 8 years, that is trying to get its third majority win. We haven't seen that in this province in decades. So despite the fact that the Liberals, according to the narrative research poll that was released this week, have a 10-point lead, it really depends on how that 10 points is spread across 55 ridings.
55 ridings is a lot for a poll of that sample size, so it's difficult to know exactly where that support is. The sample size isn't that large, and so it leaves a lot of room for variability in results. But in the case of the Liberals, they've got a challenge on their hands. They're essentially running two elections, one in HRM, where the NDP is hammering the issue of housing availability and affordability, and one in the rest of the province where the Tories are hammering them on healthcare. Also worth noting just how many undecided voters are in that poll. The thing that put the Liberals over the top in 2017 was their advanced vote, their ground game, and you've got to expect that both the Tories and the NDP learned from that, and all of them are trying to identify, lock in voters, and then most importantly, get them to cast a ballot.
More than 100,000 Nova Scotians have already voted in some form in the advanced polls. If you superimpose that number over the number of people who voted last time, that is a quarter of the vote already locked and loaded.
I think the thing that I'm really looking for when we wait to see what this result is whether or not this idea of an election in the summertime really was an advantage for the Liberals. There doesn't seem to be this massive groundswell of thanks for the way that the pandemic, or credit rather, for the way that the pandemic has been handled.
I think you're hearing that, but I think a lot of people seem to be saying, okay, you did a good job. What are you going to do for me next?
That's true, but also I think that given that so many people are in the summer and glad to have some freedom, it may be that people who are satisfied with the pandemic management have just moved on from that and may or may not even vote, which means that the people who may be engaged and voting are people who are actually angry. And if the latter is the case, that spells trouble for the Liberals.
And you couldn't have picked a worse story to run for the Liberals. A man on his own driveway for 3 hours waiting for an ambulance. That plays very much into the narrative that both Gary Burrell and Tim Houston have been putting out there, that healthcare is broken and the Liberals haven't done enough to fix it.
That's right. And so we will see now in the final days, and in particular on Tuesday, how all of this plays out, possibly Wednesday morning, because as we know, Elections Nova Scotia has said the vote count will end at midnight if necessary, and they'll resume the next day. But we will be here on the radio, on the television, on the internet, providing coverage all along the way and analysis to keep you in the loop.